What is up, my pretties? It's the Lion Queen here, and welcome to episode 304 of Shadows and Pretties. So, today in this episode, I am going to be reviewing another Christmas movie, which I haven't talked about, any of the series of this particular Christmas movie since, 2020, which was about 3 years ago. So, today I am going to review this 2002 comedy movie called The Santa Claus 2. This movie came out in 2002, so it came out at least sometime after the first Santa Claus movie. The first Santa Claus movie came out sometime in, 1994. So I'm going to review the sequel to it, which is called The Santa Claus 2, that came out at least 10 years before, well, after the Santa Claus. So this stars, of course, Tim Allen, Buzz Lightyear's voice actor, as Santa Claus. So this movie has another sequel called The Santa Claus 3, which, of course, I will review that sometime in the future. So I'm going to go ahead and, talk about the plot of this movie in case you have any of you guys who haven't watched this movie in like a really long time, or for those who want a refresher on, how this movie is and what it's about. Well, this took place sometime is the production before this movie became a thing. In 2000 in July, it was announced that Disney intended to move forward with the sequel to the Santa Claus, with the initial draft written by Don Reimer, where the North Pole is operating at a maximum efficiency until Santa Claus is confronted with the challenge of balancing work and his personal life. So, of course, Michael Lambeck came so attached and directed in November that year. And then in 2001, Cynical Paul and Ken Darrow were also brought on by Disney to pen a different draft of the sequel. So the film was shot in Vancouver in British Columbia and at the Mammoth Studio in Burnaby, British Columbia. So, of course, with that being said, the teaser trailer for this film, originally referred to as The Santa Claus 2, The Escape Clause, however, that was scheduled for November 21st of 2001. The subtitle would later become that subtitle in the following sequel, which is the third one. So, let me get started on what this film is about, in case you guys who haven't watched this movie in like years, and those who would want a refresher. So, of course, this takes 8 years since the first Santa Claus movie, and it has passed since Scott Calvin took the mantle off of Santa Claus, and the head elf Bernard Curtis, the keeper of the Handbook of Christmas, informs Scott that there is another Claus, Miss Claus. Scott's now pressed to get married before the next Christmas Eve, or the clause will be broken and he will have to stop being Santa forever. So at this time, Abby the elf delivers even more distressing news. Scott's teenage son Charlie is on the naughty list due to having vandalized his school and get attention. So Scott must return to his home and search for his wife and try to set things right with Charlie. He brings up when he visited by the Council of Legendary Figures, consisting of Mother Nature, Father Time and Cupid and the Easter Bunny, and along with the Tooth Fairy and the Sandman, to cover the Santa's prolonged absence. So Curtis helps Scott create a life-size animatronic Santa clone, much to Bernard's horror. However, at this Santa's request, Bernard reluctantly plays along with the ordeal and tells the elves that Santa had a makeover, so that they will not question the double symphonic appearance of Santa. So because of the inputting of the end of the contract, Scott undergoes a desantification process that gradually turns him back into Scott Calvin. He is limited to an amount of magic to keep him. When Scott returns home to his former wife Laura, her husband Neil, their 6-year-old daughter Lucy, and Charlie, he and Charlie face the area of the school principal Carol Newman when Charlie defaces the lockers. So at the North Pole, Toy Santa then follows the rule book and literally begins to think that everyone in the world is naughty because of their small mistakes. As a result, Toy Santa takes over the North Pole using a giant soldiers that he made of himself and unveils his plan to the elves to give lumps of coal to around the world. Bernard then exposes the Toy Santa as a fraud, and Toy Santa places him under their house arrest. So after the new failed dates, Scott then finds himself falling lane for Carol when he accompanies her in a horse-drawn sleigh to the faculty Christmas party. So during that, when she confesses that she used to believe in Santa as a child, until she was forced to stop doing so by her parents after fighting with two children who told her Santa was not real. Using this as a Santa Christmas magic, Scott enlivens the otherwise dull party, presenting everyone with their childhood dream gifts. He makes sure to make special presentation for Carol, and at this with the last remnants of magic, wins over her and they kiss under the mistletoe. However, when Scott attempts to explain to her that he is Santa, she believes that he is mocking her childhood and throws him out. Later, Charlie's upset about Scott dating his principal and confesses on how hard it is for that Scott is never around like any other fathers, and reveals to the pressure that he is under a concealed magic that his father is Santa. Lucy manages to convince Charlie not to be mad at him, to which that ends up leading Charlie to convince that Carol and Scott is Santa by showing her the magic snow globe that he received during Scott's initial transformation. Curtis then flies to tell Scott about the toy Santa's plan. However, Scott used up the last of his magic wooing on Carol and cannot return to the North Pole. With the help of the Tooth Fairy, Scott and Curtis manage to get back, only for Toy Santa to find them and tie them up. Charlie and Lee and Carol spring them free and summoning the Tooth Fairy to fly them to the North Pole. As Scott goes after Toy Santa, who has already left with the sleigh riding Chet, the rambunctious reindeer in training, they both end up going to the village with an army of elves. Carol, Bernard, and Charlie and Curtis led them to a snowball fight to overthrow the toy soldiers. Toy Santa is defeated and reduced to a 6-inch height. Scott marries Carol and the ceremony presents over her Mother Nature, and Scott transforms back into Santa, and Carol transforms into Mrs. Claus, and that Christmas proceeded as the way it is. Scott and Charlie revealed the truth to Lucy about Scott being Santa Claus, promising to keep his secret. Thus how the movie ends. What a great story. This was actually one of the best sequels of the Christmas Santa Claus movies I've ever seen. It's actually a really great movie. I personally really enjoyed how this one really is. However, I definitely have to say the soundtrack of this movie was pretty good. And this movie is just as good as the first one. I thought the first one was good, but this one was definitely a good film. It was just as good as the first movie. I thought it was really awesome that Tim Allen was in it. However, on Disney Plus, I have heard of a movie called The Santa Clauses, which I've not seen yet, but I really hope that one is just as good as these movies. And I heard Tim Allen's in that one. But when it came to the Santa Claus films, like the first one, I always think of Tim Allen because he always voices Woody and, well, not Woody, Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story. I do manage to get Tim Allen and Tom Hanks mixed up at times. But I could definitely say this is definitely a really great movie. Do I recommend this movie? Yes. I recommend this movie to anybody who, loves Christmas movies and want to watch some Christmas movies. I definitely have to say you gotta really check this one out. It is a good sequel to the Santa Claus. I thought this one was a good sequel. It's well made. It's funny. It's got a really great plot, and you will not regret it. So, I guess with that being said, and that being the case, I personally really enjoyed this special. I mean, I know it's on VHS, and I think I have it on VHS somewhere, but I definitely have to say this is definitely a good sequel. You definitely have to check it out if you haven't. You will not be disappointed in any way, shape, or form. Once you see this, you're not going to be disappointed. It is just a good film. So, I guess with that being said, and that being the case, I personally really enjoy, this special. Well, this movie. You could call it special if you want. But I mean, when it comes to Disney making a lot of Christmas movies, you can never go wrong with Disney. Because Disney loves to make, Christmas movies, especially for this time of the year. So I definitely have to say, you definitely got to check this out. So anyways, with that being the case, and with that being said, I'm going to sit here and say right now that this is just simply my own personal opinion. And if you happen to disagree with me, that's perfectly fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions in regards to these movies. This is just simply my own personal thoughts. If you like the Santa Claus, like the first one, and you don't like the second one, I respect your opinion. So, I mean, if there's something I'm missing about this movie, just let me know what it is. I think I've covered everything pretty much, but if I'm missing something, let me know. So, anyways, I guess with that being said and that being the case, what did you guys personally think of this movie? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this movie a lot better? Leave me now what your thoughts are down in the comments below. I'm the Lion Queen. I want to thank you so much for watching today's video. And if you enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. Ring the bell for notifications to when I upload, so that way you guys will not miss an upload. And if you guys want to go check out my DeviantArt page, link to my DeviantArt will be in the About page section, so you guys can go check that out. If you want to go follow me on Twitter, link to my Twitter account will be in the About page section, so you guys can go check that out. Also, if you're interested in subscribing to my backup channel known as Miss Dark Shigo, link to that will also be in the About page section, so you guys can go check that out. And I will review the third Santa Claus movie sometime soon. I don't know if it'll be this year, but if not, I'll review it sometime for next year. So with that being said and that being the case, I'll be seeing you guys all in the next video. And like always, if I'm missing something, let me know what it is in the comments below. And we'll see you all next time.